I don't know about you, but I was really, really stoked about Wonder Woman 1984 on Christmas Day. Did you watch it? We did. I'm Sabrina.
And I'm Michael.
And we're about to dive into the conversation of Wonder Woman 1984.
Let's do this, guys.
All right.
Oh, I do have to say, spoiler alert. So if you haven't seen Wonder Woman 84, you should stop this right now.
Yep.
Okay? Be warned.
Stop now.
Because we are going to go...
Push the like button, hit the subscribe button, and also hit the notification button so that way you can definitely come back to this once you've watched Wonder Woman 1984.
And then leave your comments and let us know what you
absolutely.
think.
Leave the comments down below.
But right now, we're being warned.
I don't know. We were super excited about Wonder Woman 1984.
I was too. I was looking forward to it. It was a long time coming. It was supposed to come out early March, right, up to 2020, but
yes,
things happened,
right.
and COVID hit, and that kind of changed the timing of the film.
Yes.
But sure enough, it did get released on HBO Max.
Oh God, despite the fact that the theaters have pretty much closed down for a good duration of the year. And then reopened with limited seatings, which by the way, I think is great for anybody who is looking to get out of the house but still feel that they're safe. What I was really appreciative because we're a family of 4, and the idea of taking the kids to the theater wasn't necessarily ideal. So I really was glad that HBO Max decided to also push a release of Wonder Woman 84 so you can stream it. And
yeah, so if you don't have HBO Max, I highly recommend you guys getting it. A lot of great stuff coming out there too.
Yes.
So streaming is the way to go now, especially with everything that's going on. So not saying nothing wrong with going to the theater, so we had a lot of good time at that as well.
Yeah. So Wonder Woman 84.
So I thought Wonder Woman 84 was actually a very interesting movie. So my focus here was to see exactly how is this going to tie into Zack Snyder's Batman v Superman movie that came out, because that was the first introduction that we had of Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Right. So when that came out, I was trying to think to myself, okay, so when first Wonder Woman came out,
I gotta stop you right there. By the way, guys, then I went to the Asian market and I got this Japanese treat. And these are like chocolate dipped, what looks like mushrooms, but they're like little cracker cookies. They're so good. And we're talking about movies here, so I really want like movie food. Let's just like one more.
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay, one more. Okay, back to your thoughts.
So when Wonder Woman first came out, I just want to know, it was a great introduction when Patty Jenkins introduced Wonder Woman, the story, the origin story for Wonder Woman. So it was a huge success. I really enjoyed it. I love the movie. I love what it did and how it was there. So Wonder Woman 84, there was a lot of expectations for this. So how does it tie in to the Zack Snyder's Batman v Superman? Because that's our introduction to Wonder Woman, like we mentioned earlier. So my focus there is to see, how does she play a part here? Because when she first came out in the First World War, introduction to herself, of course, none of the people in the Justice League known of her yet, right? Because she's been living for so long, she was in hiding.
Right.
But then, before, in Doomsday came about to fight Batman and Superman, that's where Wonder Woman presented herself. So we want to know, where has she been since the whole time? So 1984 came out. They said it was going to start introducing certain things, and how did it tie in? So first and foremost, I thought the storyline was very interesting. It was very unique. It wasn't, it's hard to compare from the first Wonder Woman. I'm going to be honest to you about that. The first one was superb. This one gave a different view of things, and for me, when I watched it, I felt like I was watching an 80s movie.
Well, yeah, because everything was in the 80s.
Well, no, that's not it. I mean,
what do you mean? Are you talking about the quality of the film itself?
No. It just felt like, I know they filmed, the movie is supposed to be 1980s part, but if you watch the movie in the 1980s, the way they filmed things, that's what I felt like. The way they filmed Wonder Woman was not the genre, the era was 1980, but the way they filmed it.
So the style
was an
filming.
80s styles movie, not the storyline. That's what I felt about it. It's like, this feels like I'm back in the 80s watching a 1980s movie.
Yeah, okay.
That's kind of what it made me feel like. Not just because it was filmed, the movie's Wonder Woman 84. right? Just the way the cinematography was doing it, the way the storyline is, the way the acting was, it made me feel like I'm back in the 80s. So first and foremost, for me, I kind of like that. It was kind of like it's kind of nice to go back in that way, to see that kind of move. So for me, that was one of the things that I thought was very interesting.
Okay.
And how it made me feel that way, where I felt like I was really back in the 1980s watching a movie. The storyline was interesting because you have to think of like, well, what is Wonder Woman? She is a godlike creature, godlike being, right? So who is she really going to compare herself to? Who's going to be in her rivalry, right? So of course, spoiler, the antagonist or the bad person, right, the evil person, is some kind of godlike creature, right? Or godlike spell-like creature. So for me to see that continuance and how that ties in was quite interesting, because now it makes me go back, okay, in Batman v Superman, she said to Superman before, she's fought creatures from other worlds before, right? So that's another tie-in to that movie that I saw, like, okay, that makes kind of sense.
Okay.
So that was one aspect that I definitely enjoyed about the movie, where I felt like, okay, now they're really connecting this through. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. My question to you would then be about, well, I'm kind of curious, because let's talk about the fact that she's in the 80s, right? The early 80s. Would that be 84, early 80s?
Mm-hmm. Mid 80s. Yeah.
Or mid 80s. And she's still in Washington, D.C., and she's still a person who curates and also is a specialist in historical artifacts and history and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
One thing that really just kind of threw me off with the whole movie itself. Granted, the movie was well done. I thought, is it Patty Jenkins?
Patty Jenkins.
Yeah, Patty Jenkins, the director. She really drew out a lot of areas where you couldn't help but to really like Wonder Woman's character herself, and the beauty of drawing out a little bit more of her history in Themyscira, but at the same time tying into this moral lesson from Diana's past in Themyscira, and then now into the real world, the human world. But kind of threw me off. This part that threw me off was the fact that she's still working, even at, when we're talking about, what threw me off is that in Justice League, which is happening today, right? Mm-hmm. More of the timeline. Yeah. Her position in DC is pretty much the same, was she in France? Because I can't remember. I know that she is, the last pictures of her in, was it Batman, or maybe it was Justice League, but she was in the Louvre area of Paris.
Yeah, Batman v Superman.
Right, and so, but she's still a person who studies history and all this other stuff. So I'm just curious, is how does she get away with people not identifying her after all these years in her same profession? Make sense?
You mean like why they can't tell her the difference that she's Wonder Woman, or why she's...
Well, I mean, come on, the woman hasn't aged at all, in the human world. I'm not sure exactly how they age in her.
But see, that's the thing, is that a lot of people might not realize, or a lot of things that can be easily mistaken for, is like she's not in the public eye all the time. Not only as a Wonder Woman, but as a profession.
Okay.
She's behind the scenes of what's going on. She's a curator, or whatever it is she was doing her job there. So she's really behind the scenes, so no one really gets a chance to really see her or work with her or talk with her, from my perspective and what I saw. So that's why it's easy for her to be behind it, right? She's not always in the forefront. Now in 1984, we see her a little bit more involved with her workforce, right? She's in plain clothes, working with her company, helping them out with all these ancient artifacts, mm-hmm. right? Kristen Wiig was there. She did a great job as playing Cheetah. But, we see their character development there, where Kristen Wiig is just talking to her, showing what kind of personality she has. You know, and there's a time where she actually got a chance to hang out with Diana, with Wonder Woman, and during their time in the cafe, you know, Kristen Wiig, her character was, you know, was saying to her, she's like, I can't believe no one's dating you, or no one's, you know, you're not going around. And she said to herself, I don't go out, you know, I don't have a TV, I don't do these things, I don't have any of these things. So she literally does everything she can to stay out of the limelight. And even in person, I mean, and then in one of the parts, she was going to this event.
Okay.
Right? She was dressed up.
Right.
Right. And she says she never goes to these things.
Right.
Right. And anyone who tried to talk to her, she completely dismissed them.
Right.
Right. She was like really like brushing them off.
Like, no, thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
No, thank
no,
you.
thank you. No, thank you.
All the men that were just kind of pouncing on her just to
get
a bit of conversation with her. She's like, no, thank you.
So she made it clear, like, you know, that that's not who she is, right? Because I
Right.
guess she's really trying to hone in and make sure that no one identifies her as that. And even during 1984 Wonder Woman, right, the mall scene when she was there, right, she's trying to turn off and destroy all the cameras, right? So we couldn't identify, so no one could keep track of her or what's been going on. She tries to really stay out of that area, right?
So yeah, my thoughts was that I actually really liked Wonder Woman. I thought that it was well done. Patty Jenkins did an amazing job of tying in Diana's past on Themyscira and drawing a moral lesson that she had when she was younger, and now having to face the same moral issues in the human world, you know, on planet Earth. And it was just interesting that it just makes you feel, it was kind of like that feel-good movie, because it's not the typical, oh, everything's going to be honky-dory. No, there was obviously chaos and destruction along the way in the movie, but there was a strong moral push at the very end in regards to humanity in general, and the decisions that we make, and how we, when we thrive and crave for things that we want more of, right? The things that we don't have in our lives, and then when we wish for things, and sometimes when we end up getting the things that we want, it usually can be more chaos in your life. It's not always the greatest thing to wish for. So it's almost kind of going back to be careful what you wish for, right?
Yeah. Well, in that movie,
because Max Lord, he was just the master of wishes.
Yeah.
And
Pedro Pascal, I think he did a great job playing Max Lord.
Pedro Pascal.
Right? If you haven't seen The Mandalorian, highly recommend it. But Pedro Pascal, I think he did a really great job in playing Max Lord.
Yeah.
The way he was this, you know, enthusiastic, but you know, he was trying to sell the dream, right? He was trying to sell this idea of like, you could accomplish these things, you could do all these things. But behind the scene, he wasn't doing that great, right? His business was horrible. He was trying to find this piece of artifact that had mystical powers behind it, right?
And that goes back to when you said godlike,
yeah,
or godlike creature or godlike influence, right? That's where you're talking about that particular artifact was in fact created by some god-like or god creature, right?
Correct.
Or,
right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that's where
magical creature. I would say.
Right.
Or being, excuse me. Magical
so
being.
Diana was talking about she was trying to do research on this, and as she was going over there, right, she discovered like this ancient artifact, doing her research and her history. Based on her being, you know, a demigod herself, knowing about these creatures, knowing about these godlike beings, she knew where this was coming from and what the powers possessed, right?
Right.
So this power basically, this stone gives the individuals the power for a wish. They could wish for anything. The downside to their wish, though, is that it takes something away from them that they're not aware about. So Pedro Pascal, being the person down in his luck, decided to become the actual godlike creature himself, to grant wishes to everyone.
The actual artifact.
Yeah, he changed himself to be the artifact, and to become this being to grant wishes to everyone.
Right.
But at the same time, as he grants them their wishes, and how he tricked them to do wishes, I thought was really great, because how he influenced them.
Right,
But
make the wish.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. I thought that was really ingenious in how he did that. But at the end of their wishes, he would always say, "Okay, but with that, I will also take this from you." He would grab something from them, right, to better his cause or whatever it is that he was looking to do.
But I don't think he necessarily. I don't remember him saying exactly what he was taking away from them.
He did. So in the movie,
because when Diana inadvertently made her wish,
and you guys should know what her wish was.
It was because Steve came back in her life, and Steve is not the same person, mind you. He's actually, it's kind of like, body snatching. He ended up becoming some other man, but to Diana, she sees Steve as who he was, so face and everything, and everything about him. And so what I'm trying to say is that when she inadvertently, almost unknowingly made her wish to get Steve back in her life, I don't recall him ever talking about how he was going to take something away from her.
So at that time she was doing it with the stone, with the rock itself first. So she made the wish with the rock, wishing that she only had one wish. It was to have Steve Trevor back in her life, right?
Not knowing that something would be taken away from her.
Well, no, nothing was taken away from her at that time. Here's what got some people confused about. It's because she made a wish with a rock, with that stone artifact. And when she made that wish, she was able to get Steve Trevor back, but because Steve Trevor's dead, if you guys remember in Man of Steel, what basically was coming back was the conscience of Steve Trevor coming back, and it filled her up into an individual.
Okay.
So that's what she was seeing, that's what she was getting. But what changes is when Pedro Pascal, Max Lord, when he took over the stone and he granted wishes, he would say at the end of their wishes, "With that, I will take this from you. Mm-hmm. From this, I will." That's why it was different. But what changed for Diana, why she started losing her powers, is because Kristen Wiig, she wanted to be everything like Diana. Whatever came with Diana, her powers and everything. She had no clue what was involved with it. She didn't know she was going to get superpowers. She didn't know she was going to get godlike strength or anything like that. She just thought she was going to get the fame and good looks of popularity of Diana. That's all she thought. Right? Remember the gym scene, she was lifting in the gym scene and she didn't realize she had all the strength, that she's, deadlifting or powerlifting some.
I thought that was great.
I thought that was funny as hell.
With her leotards.
Those 1980 leotards,
and
right?
her leg warmers and stuff like that. So let's talk about where we think Wonder Woman is leading up to, as far as what the DC universe and how her storyline is going to affect the coming movies, the DC universe itself. Where do you think this is leading?
I think it's a good. I think it's going to lead really well to it. I think it's going to tie in with Zack Snyder's Justice League movie that's coming out in March with HBO Max as a 4-part series.
Oh my God, I'm so excited about that.
Super excited about that. So I think it tied in well. I think 84 did a good job in tying it in. I think Pedro Pascal did a great job in playing this Max Lord with the confusion. I think
Kristen Wiig, banging body.
Kristen Wiig did a really good job.
She looked amazing.
And Chris Pine, of course, his character, I think he is that nice flair to the comic relief that this new movie brought. He's always that, he's that realism kind of guy.
Fanny pack. Right?
He did a great job. Chris Pine did a great job. Him and their dynamics with him and Gal Gadot, really good. I think they're going to do really good. And I just, somewhere I saw an article saying that looks like Patty Jenkins signed another contract to finish off Wonder Woman 3 series, which is great. So that'll be good. I know Patty Jenkins is a busy woman. I know she's working on new projects as well, but it'll be nice for her to finish. I think a lot of people will be happy for her to finish Wonder Woman the series as well, and to see where it progresses from there. I'm looking forward to the next chapter to that, because I know it's going to take place after the Justice League and what happens from there, because I know it's going to spin off to different things. So I'm looking forward to that.
Good. Okay, with that said, guys, Wonder Woman 1984, definitely something to probably rewatch. I know our kids want to rewatch it again, so we're probably going to do that too.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
And I'm sure we're going to probably pick up on a lot of things that we missed the first time. I think we're just so excited. We were just absorbing however much we could possibly do it. I know that we're that type of people who watch it maybe 1 or 2 times more, so that way we could really see and capture all the details, and perhaps even the conversations that might have been happening within the movie. So
Yeah, you know, Wonder Woman 1984. If you guys, you know, leave us your comments down below, like Sabrina said. Let us know what you guys think. Tell us what you guys saw and what you guys felt about the movie as well. Definitely love to hear your guys' comments about this movie, and if there's any other movies that you guys are excited about, leave it in a comment where you want us to review.
Yes.
And we'll definitely do that for you guys as well.
Yep.